All right. Welcome. We'll get started right away. So, if you're a Knicks fan or NBA fan, you probably heard the news already. Earlier today, on June 28th, the New York Knicks and Phil Jackson parted ways. And I know a lot of Knicks fans are very happy. I don't know why. Uh, I really don't know why. And we all know the drama that's been going on with him and Carmelo Anthony and now Chris Stapps. I've made episodes talking about Carmelo Anthony in the past. You can go back and look. I'm not going to get into him now. I'll save him for another day. But basically, today was a weird day. Another weird day. Another bad black eye on the Knicks franchise. I mean, here you have Phil Jackson, who who can match his resume? Uh, Championships as a player, two with the Knicks, 11 with the as a coach. He has one of the highest winning percentages, all playoff records as a coach. And I know a lot of Knicks fans will say, "Well, he's not the coach, and he's just now he was an executive, he's the president, and he sucked." All right, he did take on the job of executive president of basketball operations with the Knicks. And listen, I got to tell you, I'll go real fast. First of all, we all know he wanted to stay with the Lakers with his girlfriend, Jeannie Buss, the daughter of the Lakers owner. He wanted 12 million a year to coach and stay with the Lakers. They didn't want to give it to him. It was after that Kobe had now pretty much the Lakers championship window had closed. So Phil Jackson was going to work to revitalize the Laker franchise. So basically, he went back to New York. New York offered him. I remember the the days leading up to that. The Knicks were having another terrible year in 2013, a year right after they finally went to the second round of the playoffs, and James Dolan finally put some players around Carmelo Anthony at the time. Uh, didn't help. They got eliminated in the second round. So, and then 2013, there was supposed to be big expectations. The team, up until early March, was floundering, and they went on a little winning streak to come close to making the playoffs. It didn't happen. So, leading up to that point, I remember all the Knicks fans. Every off season, it was after the LeBron took his talents to Miami. That's really what started it, because he pretty much never even considered the Knicks. So we were always after LeBron went to Miami, the Knicks were pretty much left hung and dry. Even the Knicks fans. Who could the Knicks have signed as a free agent that was going to turn the franchise around? Just seemed every year, every free agent that came and went, never really considered the Knicks, and even to this day have not. I know, but now today the excuse is that they don't want to come here because of Phil Jackson. No, he's not the reason. Because why weren't they coming here before Phil Jackson? Uh, so, what was the next best thing to getting a franchise player, to signing a franchise player? Signing a franchise management. And Phil Jackson, he made it clear he wasn't going to coach. He's old. He has physical issues. His arrangement originally was he would have coached the home games, and someone else would have coached the road games. They didn't want that. They didn't want to allow that. So that was that as far as his coaching. He went on to he agreed to 5 year deal worth 70 million, 12 years, 12 million years. I'm sorry, 12 million annually, and he would the agreement would be that he would overlook some practices, give advice. Hey, who wouldn't want that? This is Phil Jackson. And I could hear people saying, "Oh, Phil Jackson, he had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal." Yeah, you're right. He did. But go look. Those players and those teams didn't win the championship before Phil Jackson got there. Okay, those teams had those players and couldn't get over the hump. Once Phil Jackson became the coach of the Bulls and the Lakers, they got over the hump and stayed over the hump for years, dynasties. Okay, and again, I got to hear this about the just triangle offense. Listen, there's players like Dennis Rodman who played for the Bulls. He's not even a scorer. The guy doesn't even he never even looked to score. He was just he was one of the best rebounders in history. He came out and he said he learned the triangle offense in 5 minutes. Shaquille O'Neal comes out and says the Knicks players should really embrace the triangle. They don't know what they're talking about. Without the triangle, the Lakers would have never won the championship. I'm not going to give a clinic on what the triangle offense is. First of all, the triangle offense is not meant for the superstar players like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. It's really meant for the non-stars, the players who aren't that talented, the bench players. It's a system. That's all it is. It's a system. It's a passing system where you position where you position on the floor, and you constantly cut, and the ball constantly is being passed until you get to an open man or until you get an easy layup. I remember Michael Jordan when Phil Jackson first signed to become the Bulls coach early in the season. In his book, I read it once. He said he didn't like the triangle because he thought that Phil Jackson was trying to stop him from winning the scoring title. Because at that time, Michael Jackson had the reputation of being a ball hog. But Michael Jordan then realized he still he could still win the scoring title within the triangle. He's finally saw the light. So anyway, fast forward, the Knicks hit rough times when Phil Jackson got there. I'll give you a quick. The first sign of trouble was his hiring of the coach. If no, a lot of people already forgotten about this. He signed. He had Steve Kerr signed. He was done. Steve Kerr was set to become the new coach of the Knicks, and at the last second, Steve Kerr said nope, and he went to Golden State, the Golden State Warriors. And I guess I've said it many times. Boy, did Steve Kerr make the best decision in his life. But wait a minute. You're saying, oh, that's because of Phil Jackson. No. He had agreed to coach Phil Jackson. And at the last second, Steve Kerr decided, with good judgment, he looked at the rosters and he decided, you know what? I'm better off going to Golden State. They were ready to win. The Knicks weren't. And probably it had to do something with the player or players on the team, like Carmelo Anthony. And then we all know. Then they got Derek Fisher stepped in. He was a debacle. He was overwhelmed. He wasn't respected. And then we all know that business he had with Matt Barnes' ex. He got fired, and then the coaching aspect went down. Listen, who are you going to get to coach your team when the roster's flawed, the salary they're maxed out, they have no draft picks? No, you're not going to get a big time coach. And then I know you say, oh well, every time Phil Jackson interviewed the coach, he wants to make sure that the coach is going to put in the triangle. Yeah, but no, he was flexible. Even with Jeff Hornacek, he hired him because they agreed that Jeff Hornacek's system and philosophy was almost the same thing as a triangle, and they wouldn't run the triangle all the time, but they would run the triangle in certain instances. So I don't know what this thing is, the triangle. And another thing I gotta say, if you're a Knicks fan, an NBA fan, the Knicks offense isn't the problem. It's their defense. the triangle offense actually helps you play defense because the defense has to is always adjusting to you on offense, and it makes them work hard. It helps your defense. It slows the game down a little bit. It prevents fast break points. The triangle offense. So I don't understand. It's everybody keeps pointing at this triangle offense when defense is the problem. And again, I'm not going to get into it, but certain players on this team, certain superstars, pretend to play defense. And no, I'm not a hater. You could go and look. Go and look for yourself. Go on YouTube or whatever, NBA.com. I challenge you. Go do some homework. Go put on any random game, Knicks game from the last 2 years, 3 years, and just closely watch Carmelo Anthony and a couple other players on defense pretending to play. I said it before. You notice whenever the opponents score on the Knicks, I never see Carmelo Anthony get mad. He's his first reaction after the opposing team scores, he's looking for the ball. But on offense, when something goes wrong or he gets fouled or he thinks he gets fouled, he always gets fouled or whatever, plays gets broken down, he gets mad. You can see him, he gets mad. That's a big difference. So yeah, go back. I dare you go back to the last 3 years, 4 years, and just watch Carmelo Anthony and a lot of the Knicks players. Where's the defense? I mean, I don't get it. What good is scoring 26 points a game if you're going to let the opposing player you're guarding score 28 or 30, or because of your fucking crappy defense, you allow the other team to score 35 points. Go look at the box scores every night, the plus minus. Go look at the good players and look at Carmelo Anthony's plus minus every night in the box score. So anyway, getting back to this. Phil Jackson, they parted ways. I'm sorry, I digressed. I can't help myself talking about him. They parted ways today, and the worst mistake I'm going to say Phil Jackson did was actually re-signing Carmelo Anthony 3 years ago. He signed to a max contract. Carmelo Anthony had become an unrestricted free agent. He was free to go wherever he wanted. Of course, the hometown team, they can offer the most money. So he had his chances. He could have went to Chicago. Nope. He could have went here or there. Nope. So in the end, he decided to stay in New York for the max contract. And Phil Jackson gave him a no trade clause, meaning he couldn't be traded. Unless Carmelo Anthony agreed to a trade to a certain team, he can't be traded. And Phil Jackson foolishly thought, or at least he hoped he could get through to Carmelo Anthony and get him to ascend and go to the next level and actually be a great player by teaching him things and by being disciplined. Didn't work. So it's the last year now. Now listen, I keep you go back to my Knick videos. I keep saying it's 1 year later. Carmelo's 1 year older, 1 year more frustrated. Does he want to win the championship? All he ever talks about is, I want to win the championship in New York. I want to win the championship. No, you don't. You just want to make the most money. You want to push your brand and have 25 points every game. But so now last year, the trade deadline rolled around this year. The Knicks, it was no secret, they were openly shopping Carmelo Anthony, listening to best offers. Nothing came of it. The season ended. Kristaps Porzingis, he got upset. He left the Knicks without completing his exit interview, and this set Knicks fans off like, oh, even Kristaps is mad. Yeah, if you go read Kristaps growing up as a kid, his idol, his hero was Carmelo Anthony. So guess who's talking to him? He's being led by Carmelo Anthony. And what's Kristaps? Kristaps is what, a 23-year-old kid? 2 years in the NBA. He don't know any better. Just like all NBA rookies how many great talented players, young players, come into the NBA and wind up on the wrong team with the wrong players, with the wrong coaches, and they never amount to anything because of bad influence. So anyway, as we heard the last few weeks, Now it wasn't the Knicks couldn't would trade before the draft. It got leaked that they were looking to trade Kristaps Porzingis, and oh my, Knicks fans went crazy again. How Phil Jackson? How can he trade him? First of all, who's Kristaps Porzingis? Yeah, he's got potential, but come on, he took a step back last year. I think he's hurt. He was hurt a lot. His ankle every 5 minutes was his foot was hurt. And why not? Why? It's not that Phil Jackson wanted to trade him. He wanted to see what he could get for him, and if the he was offered a deal that he couldn't pass up, he was going to do it to better the Knicks. So that was that. Uh, and then we went to the next phase of now the Knicks are looking to buy out Carmelo Anthony for the remaining 2 years of his contract because they can't trade him and they need to get him off the team. Why do they need him to get off the team? Because he's 33. He commands the ball. If you're happy about if you were mad about Kristaps, you should be mad about Carmelo because it's Kristaps' team right now. The Kristaps Porzingis should be the number one option on offense, not Carmelo anymore. So Phil Jackson realized he tried to subtly say it in the press. Maybe Carmelo Anthony is better off elsewhere if he wants to win a championship. Of course, Carmelo Anthony turns that into an insult, criticism. No, maybe you want to win a championship. Phil Jackson's telling you you're probably not best suited to win the championship with the Knicks. He's 33 years old. How long do you think players last in the NBA? 34, 35? How long do you think before his skills are diminishing already? How long before he's not an elite scorer? So the buyout of Carmelo Anthony, that wasn't going to happen. Phil Jackson, they mutually parted ways. The real reason why, it's all about money. James Dolan, it cost him $24 million to buy out Phil Jackson versus the 55 million would have cost to buy out Carmelo Anthony, and of course they get no value in return. And the big thing, and this is the real reason of why this all happened, because in the first place, of why Phil Jackson had to re-signed Carmelo Anthony when he didn't have to, is because James Dolan knows, or he understands. All he cares about is the MSG being sold out every game, and he can make money. He doesn't care about winning. He doesn't care about the playoffs. He just cares about MSG being sold out every night. It's a big the Knicks. It came out in Forbes magazine. They are one of the most profitable franchises in sports. So James Dolan did the math in his head: 55 million versus 24 million, and that 55 million would have been more because he knows that if Carmelo Anthony's not on the team, the fans aren't going to show up. The Knicks are going to stink. The fans are not going to show up, and he's going to lose a lot of money. So in the end, it was easier to get rid of Phil Jackson. And you know who the winner is in all this? Phil Jackson. The guy made $120 million for 3 years worth of work. And believe me, everybody could insult him and do all these things. When you 20 years from now, when people still talk about Phil Jackson, what are they going to talk about? His 11 championship rings, coaching two of the greatest dynasties, coaching the best player ever, his two as a player, his record, his record winning percentage in the regular season and postseason, his finals winning percentage, or are they going to talk about a couple of years with the Knicks? Let's see. Let's see now what happens now after Phil Jackson leaves. Let's see how great the Knicks get. And all some Knicks fans will probably just keep saying, "Oh, well, the Knicks are good still because Phil Jackson made the wrong moves." Come on, stop kidding yourself. He drafted Kristaps. He drafted this kid Frank Nicotolania, 18-year-old point guard from France. He's going to probably be good. Phil Jackson tried to help, but not even he could do it. And at this point in his career, in his life, he doesn't give a crap. Phil Jackson won again. He paid 120 million in 3 seasons for pretty much just Take it. His biggest thing is getting stressed. Anyway, I'm gonna make very soon. I'm gonna make my Carmelo Anthony video as a part two to this. And I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you don't. If you're a Carmelo Anthony fan, but I'm gonna lay out in detail why it's Carmelo Anthony's fault. Okay, thanks. Like and subscribe. I'll see you soon.